All right, welcome. Today we are going to take a super fast journey through what might just be the most complex and incredible object in the entire universe, your brain. So let's dive right into this amazing architecture, and we're going to do it in just 5 minutes.
So, to kick things off, let's get some perspective. Your brain? It's surprisingly small. It only makes up about 2% of your body weight, kind of like a tiny passenger along for the ride. But, as you're about to see, you really shouldn't let its size fool you. Because, and here's the kicker, that tiny 2% is incredibly hungry. It chews through a massive 20% of your body's total oxygen and energy. That makes it by far the most resource-hungry organ we have. So what in the world is all that energy actually powering?
This, 86 billion neurons. That is the mind-boggling number of specialized cells crammed inside our heads. They're all firing and wiring together every single second to create every thought, every feeling, every action you've ever had. It's a network of just staggering complexity, and we're about to take a look at the blueprint.
Okay, here's our game plan. We'll start with the brain's big picture job. Then we'll tour the main sections, peek into the engine room, see what happens when things go wrong, and then, my favorite part, we'll finish with the brain's incredible ability to literally change itself.
So, first up, the big picture. You really have to think of your brain as the ultimate command center. It is the central processor running the entire show, the show that is you, from making sure your heart beats to dreaming up brand new ideas.
Its job description is just immense, but we can kind of boil it down to 4 main categories. First, it pulls together all the sensory info coming in. Second, it controls all of our movements. Third, it handles all the high-level stuff, thoughts, memories, and emotions. And fourth, it's constantly working behind the scenes to keep our body in balance. It is the master of multitasking.
And now it's time for the grand tour. We're going to start with the cerebrum. That's the big, wrinkly, outermost part of the brain. It's split into 2 hemispheres, and those are divided into 4 distinct lobes, each one a specialist with a super important job to do.
Right up front, you've got the frontal lobe. This is the brain's C-suite, the CEO of you. It's where your personality is formed, where you make your plans, where you weigh consequences and decide, okay, what am I going to do next? Basically, it's the part of you that's in charge. Just behind that, we have the parietal lobe. I like to think of this as your brain's built-in GPS and navigator. It's processing things like touch, temperature, and pain, and it's building this incredible 3D map of the world around you so you know exactly where you are in space.
Now, tucked in on the sides are the temporal lobes. These are the brain's archivists, its librarians. They are absolutely crucial for forming and pulling up memories, for processing all the sounds you hear, and critically, for understanding what people are saying to you.
And finally, at the very back of your head is the occipital lobe. This part is the visionary. It has one job, and one job only, to take all that raw data streaming in from your eyes and turn it into the rich, colorful, meaningful visual world that you experience every single day. Okay, so we've toured the outer layers, the cortex. Now it's time to go deeper. We are heading down into the engine room to check out the hidden machinery and the tiny cells that make the whole thing work.
And the neuron is the absolute star of this showdown here. It is the fundamental building block. Every single one is like a tiny biological wire and microprocessor, built to send and receive signals, all forming that huge interconnected web that powers everything we do.
And managing all those billions of signals are these key structures deep inside. Think of them as the brain's essential middle managers. You've got the thalamus, which is like a central switchboard, directing sensory traffic. The basal ganglia helps you make smooth, controlled movements. The amygdala is a powerhouse for processing core emotions like fear. And the cerebellum, tucked away at the back, is the master coordinator for balance and all those fine motor skills.
Of course, understanding this whole architecture becomes really clear when you see what happens when the system breaks down. Because damage to one specific spot in the brain doesn't just cause some general problem, it causes a very specific problem, directly linked to that area's job.
And this is a perfect example of that. If you damage Broca's area in the frontal lobe, you might find you can't speak fluently anymore, even though you totally understand what's being said. But if you damage Wernicke's area, which is just a short hop away, you might be able to speak fluently, but the words that come out are complete nonsense. 2 nearby spots, 2 totally different problems with language. It's fascinating.
And you see this pattern over and over again with so many conditions.
In Parkinson's, for example, the loss of cells in a tiny area called the substantia nigra leads to tremors and movement problems. With Alzheimer's, degeneration of the hippocampus, a key memory hub, is a major hallmark. A stroke blocking a certain artery can lead to paralysis. The location of the damage tells you exactly what the symptoms will be.
And this is so important. Our story does not end with the brain being some fragile, fixed machine. Actually, the most exciting discovery in all of modern neuroscience has been about the brain's incredible power to adapt. So we end our tour with the brain that literally remakes itself.
You see, for centuries, this was just accepted as fact. The idea was that the adult brain was static. Once you were grown up, the circuits were locked in for good. If you had an injury, that damage was permanent. Game over. But we now know that view is just completely wrong. And this one simple phrase from the psychologist named Donald Hebb, it basically captures the entire revolution in our thinking. This is the core idea of what we call neuroplasticity. The connections between your neurons are not fixed, they are constantly, dynamically changing based on what you do.
So what that really means is, neuroplasticity is the engine behind all learning and memory. It's how you pick up a new skill, and it's what allows the brain, sometimes, to recover after an injury like a stroke. Your brain is constantly, right now, updating its own wiring based on your experiences. And that, right there, leads us to the final and maybe the most important takeaway of all. This neuroplasticity thing, it isn't just something that happens to you, it's something you actively take part in. Every single thought you have, every skill you practice, every new thing you learn, it physically changes your brain. So, that leaves us with one heck of a question. What are you choosing to wire into your brain today?